There is indeed a lot of questions for Liyab at the moment. You're right, they've been gone for 2 weeks. We are not sure if what kind of strategy they've been cooking against AHQ. But at the same time, we see that the Olaf getting banned right off the bat against River.
Yeah, Olaf being banned out. We have mentioned too that that's sometimes the special pickup for Doi Doi as well, so he's not going to have that either. It is going to be an Elise ban immediately though on the side of AHQ. We are playing on 10.6 by the way, and Wukong is enabled this week. He was disabled last week because of his mini rework. Now he is available for the teams, and that's for me is going to be an interesting one. I want to see if anyone's gutsy enough to actually pick up the Wukong, because a lot of people are pretty much saying this champion is absolutely broken. For the side of Liyab, though, it's going to be a Syndra and Set ban for their final two.
That's true. I wonder if that's going to be the approach, or just approach the game in a way that is very familiar for both of these teams. So we'll have to see. And it's one of those things as AHQ has already solidified their place in the playoffs again, as they're in second place. So what it means for AHQ is probably not much in comparison to Liyab. Now it's more of every single game will definitely count. And that's a hover on this Tarek here. I wonder if that's going to be a lock-in.
That is locked in. The Ornn was actually banned out here on the side of AHQ. Senna is available, but you know what? They might decide, hey, we'd rather go with the Varus instead. Exosin has played the Senna a couple times and already shown the Tarek too. Might be, already a little bit of a sign saying, hey, you know what? We don't plan on playing the Senna even if it's left open. So we'll have to see, as it looks like the Varus is going to go ahead and get locked in, and maybe not. Maybe it was a mistake.
Perhaps, but looking at the Tarek though, it is very flexible from early to late, especially you get that level 6. It is going to open you up with a couple of dives, or really clean dives when you activate the Tarek ult. But at the same time, since there's not a lot of information just yet, since they stopped the picks and bans for both of these teams, I wonder if that would be the approach for Liyab, would be just ultimate aggression from early just to shut down HQ.
I think actually they are still doing the draft at the moment, by the way, so we'll kind of catch back up in a quick sec. I think the graphic was showing actually the talent names, so I think some people were a little confused there, especially I remember you mentioned River, and I was like, wait a sec, River isn't in this match, it's Kongya.
Oh.
Playing on the side of it.
Yeah, that's right. You were talking about Kongya and Uniboy.
I was like, wait a sec.
River.
Yeah, I was like, where's River coming from? But yeah. Now we're going to have to see. Again, there also could have been a bug during Champ Select, so I think we kind of have to ease our expectations, but I do believe the Varus was locked in over on the side of AHQ, so for Waco, has that poke available. I'm interested to see whether or not we're going to see the lethality Varus build, or we're going to see the on-hit build, especially considering AHQ has often been more of a late-game team, that there is that opening down in bot lane where you can try and just, shut down this Varus early and kind of shut down the scaling when he goes with the on-hit style build. Or if we're going to see a little bit something different from AHQ where they try and go for this burst-heavy composition that we've been seeing in other regions like the LPL.
That's true. It's whether or not HQ will decide to match whatever Liyab is going to do, because from what we've seen so far, Liyab's success when it comes to the late game strategy hasn't been really panning out so well for them. So if they do want to succeed, it's more of catching AHQ off guard, especially ruining the path of Kongya, most likely in the form of probably counter jungling. We have seen that countless of times, and with that Tarek pick, we'll have to see whether or not that will be successful. Especially, it will again enable the dives early on.
That requires a lot of coordination, though, on the side of Liyab, and that might be a bit of concern, because a lot of their team fights, especially, and a lot of their losses have been arguably very messy when it comes to coordination or who wants to go where. A lot of players will often jump over walls, and then the other part of the team is like, hey, what are you doing? We're still behind here. We're still taking a dragon or two. So maybe they've worked a little bit on their coordination for the last 2 weeks. Maybe they've been making something secret. I have also been just informed, apologies, I did have a little bit of a mistake. Wukong is actually not enabled today because these games were postponed from the previous patch, so he's not going to be allowed to be played. He will be available, though, to teams tomorrow, as well as our tiebreakers possibly on Sunday.
That is very good news, especially for tomorrow for the Wukong fans as well. Yeah, I really love that you brought that up because you can sense like there are two different teams when they are behind. Either you see a very monotonous team who won't do anything, or you see like teams like perhaps Liyab who would just want to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and probably find mistakes here and there, but only further their deficit in gold. But I am okay. What a surprise!
Let's catch up then really quickly. So the Varus was locked in. Kongya ended up going with the Rek'Sai, and then Liyab answered back with the Callista and Gragas. So opting for a lot being put on here actually onto Exozen. If you look at this composition with that Sylas and Poppy also getting locked in, it's pretty much protect the Callista as long as possible. But that's very risky to do, especially when you're going up against something like a Maokai, which was locked in on the side of AHQ. And also with this Kassadin, where if it gets later and later into the game, Kassadin doesn't really care about a Taric ultimate because he's looking to try and blow you up before that can even come down.
And that would be the plan in mind. AHQ is definitely confident that the game will go long, and probably Liyab will not find the fights that they need at the early phases of the game to take off either Rex or most likely Exozen. And now you have Kaigu on this Poppy means, yes, they will really have a solid skirmish fight later on for sure, especially when you use the Poppy ult to eliminate one out of the fight. Then make it a temporary 4v5, if you will. But at the same time, at least you do have that Callista for Exozen.
Yeah, and he's had some good showings when it comes to Callista. A couple times we've seen some actually really good positioning in team fights come out of Exozen, where he's been able to kind of carry back Liyab in a couple of these games. It's still putting a lot of eggs into the Exozen basket, especially when you're running Kaigu, which compared to how Kurt's playstyle was, where he gets to be a side lane threat and, you know, try and go for that solo queue carry that we sometimes have seen from him from time to time. It's putting a lot of pressure on Exozen to be able to perform here, especially in your first game back in 2 weeks, going up against the second team in the league, on top of a very long gauntlet they have for tonight.
It's definitely going to be tough, especially at the start of the night against AHQ. They've lost against them before, and now it is the time for redemption.
Well, we'll get ourselves set, locked, and loaded onto the Rift for Game 1 of Week 6. It's, for you Liyab fans, Liyab Day, you could say. 4 games back-to-back for the Philippine representatives, and then they play the first game tomorrow. So in theory, they play 5 games in a row with a quick day in between, as AHQ, with a victory here, would, I believe, lock in one of the top 2 slots when it comes to the playoffs. They may still be able to play a tiebreaker against Talon, but a victory here for AHQ goes a long way, and for Liyab too, especially with the close playoff race at the bottom of the table, it matters insanely.
For sure. Everybody is practically close in points, as, you know, Liyab, just as you mentioned, still has 5 more games to play. A long battle for them. Now it's going to be a standard start for both of these squads, as you see Kongya going back to swap a bit of his trinket. And yeah, I mean, you talked about how Exozen will have a lot of pressure coming into this match, but at the same time, you do have Rex at least for that backup. Wacko.
Oh, Wacko, I'm just going to go a little far forward. Just get a little tap onto Exozen. Just an easy little harass there. I guess we should talk a little bit here for Liyab because, again, it is the back-to-back schedule for Liyab, so you got to take into consideration, you know, mentality of the team. They've been in this situation a couple times during the season, unfortunately, due to, you know, venue delays or venue closures with the ongoing climate around the world at the moment. You have to wonder is how is the mentality going to hold up? Because I know some of the players, we got to see a little bit of their documentary series last night. You know, they were kind of going over the happenings of the last 2 weeks, where you said, you know, it's been tough on them. They haven't been able to really, you know, been only able to contact their families remotely. You're not able to, you know, go ahead and visit them. I know the situation over there is not ideal for, you know, the mental, but it's going to be a task for them to keep up the morale, especially given the fact that they have to play 4 games tonight.
That's true. It is indeed have been very tough for Liyab, and yeah, they've been like playing board games on the side, but Rex though, getting a little bit of nice trade against Uniboy. I think that is the good thing about this matchup in general, is that you know, Uniboy at this point will be a little bit on the weaker side of things in comparison to this Silas pick at the moment. So for Liyab, this is the center point where they can take advantage of and most likely have focused Dodoy's ganks over towards Rex.
And we saw there with Rex getting a little bit of prio, he ended up going for a ward onto that Raptors. Now, if Kanye wanted to get really, you know, creative with his pathing, he could go down toward that bot lane. Because honestly, they actually don't know where this Rek'Sai has started, but now that Kanye is going to show over the ward toward the side here, he'll get caught out. Does he actually see that ward? Yes, he will. So HQ know that Kanye is spotted out, and he can't look for any surprise ganks here and there.
Absolutely, as the timing is perfect as well, as Rex decided to back away a little bit more towards his own tower and manage that wave. Meanwhile, though, Kaigu is quite extended at the top side of the map, so at the moment that could be something Kongye wants to take advantage of later on.
He might not wait for it at this point as he clears out the scuttle. Kaigu's still very far forward, and unfortunately your steadfast presence actually won't interrupt the Maokai dash because he goes intargetable. So unfortunately, that interaction doesn't really work for Poppy at this point. So it looks like Kongye just being there is enough pressure to force Kaigu to have to reconsider and back off. Doidoi spending a lot of time here toward this bot lane. Is going to walk out of the brush. It doesn't look like he wants to go for this play, and he's been spending a lot of time here waiting to see whether or not the Varus and Thresh are going to push up, but it looks otherwise they won't.
Yeah, there has been some sort of little bit of hesitation. Like when he wanted to go for the Krugs, he wanted to move upward and probably visit the mid lane once he saw Kongye at the Raptor camp, and now staying a whole lot of time over at the bot side of the map to see if whether or not Wacko and Isera would try something, because Isera used the exact same champion when they faced Liyab at their first encounter. So they were most likely expecting something to happen at least, and just try to play around with a 3v2.
See, Hook is going to land there. Exton was waiting over toward the side. Stun not going to land, you know. Trying to get a little bit creative possibly with a play, but Liyab won't be able to back off. They should be able to push in this wave though. Get a little bit of damage there also onto Waco. Again, for Liyab, when you take a look toward their schedule, what they have left to play, there's still 5 games left on the table for them. So if they win every single game, they can actually get up to 10 wins, and they would actually get up into the top 4 of the standings. If they don't win a single game here, there's a high chance they don't make it into the playoffs. I actually don't think it is possible for them to make playoffs. So a single win today at least forces J-Team and Hong Kong Attitude to both at least get a win. If not, they'll play a tiebreaker. If Liyab, though, are able to find 2 wins, then even if J-Team and Hong Kong Attitude win, there's still going to be that tiebreaker. Now, the best case scenario, the best timeline if you're a Liyab fan, they get 3 wins today. 3 wins, you're locked into playoffs, and they still have that one other game with Resurgence tomorrow.
Exactly, and actually it's a 2 birds in 1 stone kind of deal, where I wouldn't really call it, it's actually very tragic for Resurgence if they do win that match. But at this point, yeah, and I think if we look back into the match between Liyab and AHQ, it was mainly Kongye camping out Rex as that Zoe before, and looks like it's going to be the opposite since Liyab got the matchup that they wanted to against Uniboy. If they make this work, and if they keep pushing Uniboy out of the lane, then that would be, you know, the successful formula that wasn't around when they first fought each other.
We'll see here. Doidoi and Rex are going to actually path down. Toward the dragon is Ocean Drake, so you do see Civ waiting in base. Does have his teleport available, and there you go. The control ward wasn't actually cleared out here. Dragon is going to get secured. Now here comes Civil in toward the fight, and Doidoi is going to get backed off, and unfortunately, it looks like Kaigu's ultimate was interrupted, and there they go. First blood, though, going on over to Liyab. Rex is able to find a kill of his own. Exison over the wall with Hamez, not able to. Finally, he gets the hop, but Uniboy, he's got nowhere to run. Another Ren will be there, and Exison should be able to pick up a second kill as Liyab are able to find a fight in their favor. Civ going down extremely low, gets another shield from this Thresh to survive, and it's 3-1 to Liyab.
That is massive. They get the dragon and they get 3 kills off of that. That was the sweet spot. That was the sweet start that Liyab is definitely looking for. And this all started with that ward not being cleared. And with Maokai in the middle of it all, I think the target priority for Liyab was definitely there as Exocent immediately jumped on to Wacko, and that was the first blood. And everybody else, because you lost your carry, Kassadin at this point isn't the best right now. So Liyab with prime target priority won this one.
And there you go. You're gonna have a Kalista that gets 2 kills early on in the game. We just mentioned if you could strike at AHQ early, try and force some fights, that might be the solution for them to crack open this armor that has been AHQ for the majority of this season. And like we mentioned, for AHQ, they're waiting for this Kassadin. It's still going to be, you know, another 20, 25 minutes before he gets to that late game scary Kassadin at level 16 with 3 ranks in his ultimate.
Yeah, it would definitely take a while, and the same definitely goes towards Wacko here on the Varus. And at this point, we'll have to see what Kongye decides to do to sort of equalize their losses from what happened earlier, especially that there wasn't a trade that happened with either the Rift Herald and the Dragon. It was them that wanted to take on that fight.
Yeah, other than that, it's still now going to be about 1,000 gold lead in favor of Liyab. AHQ, they're not able to, like you mentioned, trade that Rift Herald because it was a 5v5 fight. And Doidoi immediately pathed up toward the top side of the map after the reset. So, unfortunately for AHQ, not able to get anything back as we go back into a bit of this lane phase, which I think is going to be more or less the setting that we see until we see another Mountain Drake spawn in the next 2.5 minutes. It seems both of these teams are reserved to just go ahead, farm out the lanes until they get an objective to fight over.
Very true, and it's one of those things on who's going to pull the trigger, especially Rift Herald is still up. And Rex is gonna be fine. I thought there was gonna be a potential gank coming from Doidoi as he visits the lane, and the timing is perfect as well. You see Kongye lurking around that area at this point, and now we see pings over the Rift Herald with Kongye starting this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, there is a Gragas nearby, and Doidoi is going to spot that out. Exton's already actually roamed over toward the mid lane. There has been a reset that came out of AHQ's bot lane, so they will be pathing over, it seems, here, as Shelly has only 1 bar of patience left, so if Liyab are going to commit to this, they actually have to. As it looks like Liyab are going to be able to take this freely. It's going to be up to Exton and Doidoi to actually get it. There you go. Liyab able to find the kill, but meanwhile, though, instantly it's Rex getting popped, as unfortunately for him, he got caught out by the Chain of Corruption. In comes Waco into the back line as well. Exton gets caught out, and it's 2 members for the price of the Rift Herald. And guess what? The eye isn't even picked up, so Liyab aren't going to get anything off this.
That is quite unfortunate. I want to see what happened there, especially Rex was guarding the brush and HQ got the jump on him at that time, and that is quite unfortunate. That is also shut down gold going over to Uniboy, which would definitely speed the process of Kassadin being a monster in the later phases of the game.
Yeah, so we'll take another look here. Rex just gets singled out here, and the flash part from Waco seals the deal.
That was quite an interesting pathing coming from Rex. I think it is more definitely on the trust because Liyab was nearby, but since they were focusing on that Rift Herald, it was quite difficult to get that respawn back to sort of save Rex. And that is quite unfortunate. HQ wins that one.
And we were talking, you know, maybe you could try and shut down this Varus early, but with that 1 kill and the 2 assists now in his back pocket, he's actually able to finish his Bork before Exosin can. Now, to be fair, Exosin had to go get his tier 2 boots, but still, overall, you already got that first power spike coming in for the Varus. Needs a little bit more attack speed, though, before he gets a little bit out of control.
That's true. I mean, it does make sense for the Greaves, so you can kite better for sure. At this point, though, with the dragon spawning right now, Liyab does not have vision over there. Kongye is looking towards at least 1 pick. Hama is very far forward to counter that vision game. And Ziv and Kaigu. Yeah, they have no teleport.
No teleport, so both of them are just going to try and walk down. My question is, where is Doidoi? Doidoi's in the bot lane at this point. They do get rid of that control ward, but there is still that 1 ward in the river. Dodo is going to show himself now, and we're starting to see, again, this collapse. Farm it out and wait for objectives to fight over. Kongi and Uniboy going to try and go on in. Unfortunately, though, Exon immediately gets taken down. Extremely low body slam. Flash, though, is there, and they finish off the kill. Doidoy able to get the kill credit, and unfortunately, they do take down Exosin, but they get out with only one other member, as Uniboy now might be the one getting taken down. Flash, body slam, again coming down from Doidoy, but still, no one has touched Waco at this point, and he's the target you got to be looking for. He's on this Varus, just free hitting away. Kaigu comes in to at least finish off the kill alongside Rex coming from mid lane. And it's a long, drawn-out fight. In the end, it's still just going to be the 2-for-2.
And at this point, you see a lot of assists coming from Wacko, I believe. He has currently 114. Let's take a look at that again. So, Liyab quite far forward here, as well as Exosin catches the chain of corruption and is immediately, well, I wouldn't say bursted down, but he was almost killed by Kongye, so he did last a little bit longer to eliminate some of the targets at AHQ. And now there's only 2 members left. Nice flash body slam from Doidoy there. But Wacko, just as you mentioned earlier, he was free hitting all this time, and that is just dangerous. But at the end of the day, you know, Liyab, I believe, got more kills out of that exchange.
Well, it's just the even trade here. Is now AHQ find themselves slightly ahead in gold by about 500. I was saying, we're going to pretty much wait for these teams to just lane it out until there's an objective to fight over. Mountain still hasn't been taken, so there is that opportunity for another fight to break out here. And you feel for Liyab, they feel confident enough that they say, all right, you know what? We got to end this game before that Castlin gets ahead, gets out of control, has fully stacked item and is level 16. At that point, it might be game over. You see Liyab, they're the ones that want to go for these plays. Civ with the teleport on the Maokai, doesn't have his ult though. Chain of Corruption, once again, finds a good target, and Doidoy just gets chunked out extremely low. It's going to be Infernal Soul onto the map. Civ wants to get aggressive, incoming from the side though. Civ trying to escape. He's on top of the Lantern, but the Rend is there. And Exon able to find the kill. Now Rex jumps on in with the chain onto Yasura. Kiting back, though, is Waco, and this Varus, once again, isn't touched during the fight. Luckily for Liyab, they won't lose out on any members, and they do secure a Dragon.
They do secure Dragon, and that was pretty worth for Liyab for sure. Getting an extra kill, getting that nicely done max ranged rend from Ziv. So that was beautiful by Exosen there on the kiting and the positioning. You saw AHQ was quite hesitant to enter the fight, despite Liyab being cornered into this very small space. And that was another good chain of corruptions by Wacko. But because of Rex's counter ult from the Maokai, it kept Wacko in a tight space around in the... He was just very still in that point. And Uniboy, of course, finding the prime opportunity to enter and couldn't find, as, you know, HQ already lost a kill.
And for Liyab, it's do or die this weekend, unfortunately. So they have to be the ones to actually make these calls, and they're not afraid to go ahead, try and take that dragon immediately, and now they're only 2 dragons away from getting sold. It is going to be Infernal, so that might help them out a little bit when it comes into that mid to late game. But the time is still ticking on this composition to try and finish out the game, because AHQ, they're just going to continue to scale and scale, and once you get to that point where the Maokai is, you know, got 3 to 4 items, he becomes pretty much unkillable. It's a really tough time. And that Castlin is able to one-shot your carries, that's when the timer's done and it's too late for Liyab.
Exactly, and that is definitely the scary part, because AHQ is such an expert when it comes to these slaw, drawn-out games. And we've seen that in the first 2 weeks of the PCS. They've just, you know, managed to adjust, as Rex will not be in trouble for now, especially HQ does not have vision over the deeper parts of the jungle of Liyab. But yeah, this is definitely their game. They can slow this down. Now the question is whether or not Liyab would want to contest this Rift Herald.
They seem hesitant, but Doidoy is nearby. Sarah also just trying to guard as the Rift Herald's going to go down to about 2,000 health. That's also going to be the teleport here from Kaigu. So another 5v5 as Rift Herald is back toward them. It's a 50-50 smite on who wants to take it. Does Liyab want to try and just burst it down immediately? There it is. It does go on over to Liyab as Doidoy is going to be the one to pick it up. Kaigu gets caught out. That's 2 ultimates used onto the Poppy, but in comes the ensuing fight here. It's a nice stun, but Liyab still hesitant to try and go and pull the trigger here. Now Uniboy wants to try and kite down. Exosin not going to be able to though. Kalista gets the safety, so it's the 1 kill in favor toward HQ in cost of the Rift Herald.
Nicely done by AHQ, at least getting a consolation prize or not losing the Rift Herald entirely, as that will be a trade for a kill. And now at this point, it was such a like Waco's Chain of Corruptions have been on point. All of his ults have landed, and it has enabled HQ into these nicely done pickups. But now Liyab will reap what they sow, and they will get at least a tower from that Herald.
It does look, too, that they were able to get the first brick gold. Wako up in top lane was able to trade back a tower, though, so your gold is still slightly in favor of AHQ. They've been able to just keep up with Liyab, and that's all they really need to do at this point. You already saw Uniboy here. He's got level 11 now, so 2 points into his ultimate, and he's already, you know, starting to burst down some members of Liyab. That's a little bit of the warning signs yet to come here, as unfortunately, I'd like to see Liyab try and pick up the pace a little bit faster.
And you mentioned how it's so scary once AHQ managed to scale off, especially looking at Wako and Uniboy on this Kassadin and this Varus, and considering the fact that Waco's pressure, Waco's burden to be that consistent damage dealer will really be relieved once Uniboy managed to garner more items, as most of the time he will probably just opt for Q snipes, and then you have Uniboy to just finish off certain targets that are enough to be one-hit combo for this Kassadin.
Kind of waiting here for Exosin. If he's able to pick up his, you know, Zeal item here shortly, there is that window of opportunity for Liyab to maybe try and go for some of these fights. Infernal, though, up in 10 seconds, and Liyab were the ones that actually took a bit of a late reset. That does give position over to AHQ. It looks going to come out from Yusura, and that actually gets the flash out of Doidoi. So not going to have that summoner available for this upcoming dragon fight.
Yeah, that means no flash body slam combo from Doidoi. That will be really important. Rex steals the ult though.
Yeah, ult is stolen. He's going to run back as Civ ends up using his ultimate. Rex only going to catch the tree here. They also get the Thresh, but he's able to escape toward the side. A barrel comes out from Doidoi. That's a lot committed here from Liyab, and unfortunately, Exosin is left all alone. He's going to flash on forward, able to get himself to safety. Rex is able to find the kill on Civ. James ended putting down Tarek ultimate, but still Liyab still focused on this dragon. It's going to get secured here by Exosin. Okay. Third dragon for Liyab. As you saw there, Wako very close to stealing it with the piercing arrow. As Uniboy maybe looking to hunt them down, but it looks like that's all Liyab are going to be able to get.
It is quite difficult to try and steal certain camps away from, or monsters rather, away from Liyab, especially considering like Doidoi had Smite at the time, and you have Rend as well from the Kalista. So I was a little bit worried there coming from for Liyab, but at the same time they are executing their composition very well, stopping AHQ from going to an all-in once the ult of Tarek pops in. So they are very confident, and that's a good sign, considering the fact that you brought up the Wards documentary by Liyab, and you know, Cabbage was mentioning that, have you lost your confidence already and stuff like that. So it is such a breath of fresh air to see Liyab, after 2 weeks of not them being visible, see them back into their confident form.
The question is, can they maintain this form for the duration of today? It's 4 games back-to-back, and we've seen how swing-heavy this team can become. If they do lose out on an advantage, the morale can plummet easily. So it's them trying to keep their heads up, even though they have a chance of losing out on this game. They have been actually able to keep even with AHQ, which is a lot better than what we saw in their first round-robin matchup.
Absolutely, because that first round robin matchup when they faced each other for the first time it just spiraled out of control, and AHQ definitely had a feast in the mid lane and as well as at the bottom side of the map, and Liyab has managed to win every single fight that they wanted to start, with Uniboy wanting to chase Rex.
Unfortunately for Rex here, Uniboy has actually stacked up his Rota, got 10 stats, and to stack up the Archangel staff as well. There is still this now window of opportunity though. Uniboy still not level 16 just yet, with more opportunities to get more kills on the side of Liyab to try and keep the tempo of this game in their favor. Exosin's now got his Runeans. You're starting to get Proto Belt there for Rex. He's working toward his second item. Your second item spike here for Liyab, I feel like, is their golden hour when it comes to this composition, but you still see AHQ are not afraid and are not slowing down.
Definitely not afraid, considering the fact that also on the other side, HQ has a really strong 2-item power spike with Wacko, with already the Ginsus and the Bork completed. In the meantime, though, HQ has been establishing a lot of vision control over more on this river side, which makes it difficult for Liyab to sort of take advantage of pickoffs that they've been a fan of once they get ahead in the fights or in terms of the game state for themselves in composition.
2 minutes here onto the Infernal for Liyab. That would be a nice boost for them to secure Soul. Does mean, though, Elder Drake would be spawning there around the 30-minute mark, which is a little scary. We've seen Liyab, get Souls early on in the games, but then, throw out at some of these Elder Drake fights when it gets to that point. HQ still, though, setting up vision. They don't have to go for a full reset just yet. Still got about, 20 seconds before you want to go for the back and then recharge your trinkets, get down the vision, and look to set up around the objective.
Yeah, you mentioned how, Elder Drake, it could possibly go towards that point of the game, especially that HQ has been, both of these teams are quite even up until now. And that is the scary part, because that is where HQ will shine, not only in composition, but also in comfortability. I'm not sure if that is an actual word. They've been playing the game for the first 2 weeks of the PCS rather slow, and that is their element. And that is definitely the scary part for Liyab. You mentioned it's TikTok for Liyab at the moment.
Yeah, not the good kind of TikTok right now. You're not going to be able to make a good viral video. The timer is ticking. Now, unfortunately, it feels like Liyab are just comfortable for now. Just playing it a little bit slow, just want to farm back. 45 seconds, though, on this Infernal. That'd be a nice pickup for the team if they're able to find it. HQ, if they are able to get in, they start stacking up these Infernals. That Infernal, 4-Dragon Infernal pickup can be a bit disgusting with just the amount of just additional attack damage and AP that you get. Let's see, Liyab will want to look to at least clear out vision around this pit. HQ already putting down control wards.
And HQ would definitely want to deny that away from Liyab, as they do have complete control right now, vision-wise and as well as position. Liyab will be satisfied just trying to clear the wave as a counter, since they're not in the best area at the moment. So the question is, who will be the one that pulls the trigger, as they don't have vision?
Rex steals away the Maokai ultimate. They do see now Cassin's in the pit. It's going to be a Rift Walk on over. They have to be careful not to be caught out. A Piercing Arrow does a little bit chunk of damage onto Doidoi. BHQ not afraid to try and back up. Rex looking to try and set up his ultimate, is in the shadows, in the fog of war toward the side. Now going to show himself, and I think that's going to be your call right there as they try and jump on in. Kaiju not able to find it, and they get themselves the Infernal Soul, but at what cost? Uniboy coming over toward the side. It's going to be the Target ultimate, though, coming down immediately. Liyab, though, are not afraid. Axison ends up just flashing on in, and that might have been the disaster. Oh. Unfortunately, it is just chaos, a bouncy pit between the two squads. Rex able to find a kill on back, but Axison flashing forward into the CC. That will cost you everything, and it is going to be a triple kill for Uniboy.
And that is Baron for AHQ right now, and a Dragon Soul. I want to see that again, because that seemed to be the perfect setup for Liyab, especially Uniboy was still trying to find his perfect timing to enter the fight, enter the fray, and everybody wanted to get Wacko in, but oh my word, everyone was just in that tight space, and Liyab had to suffer from that.
Unfortunately, target selection, we've had to criticize Exerson a couple times on his flash. He's looking a little bit like Wild Turtle here in the Philippines, unfortunately, as he flashes forward on top of a Maokai. You're not going to get any more damage off. It's just a Maokai. On top of that, he just pretty much was lined up perfectly for a Chain of Corruption, and he doesn't care about the Poppy. He just gets over the wall. Rex is hunting, but it's a little bit too late as AHQ, even though they did lose the Infernal Soul, they were able to pick up the Baron and a couple kills and now sit 3,000 gold ahead of Liyab.
And, Uniboy had a fun time there, especially everyone was just pumped up in that single area. And that was the perfect setup, and that's the reason why you see him 7-2-3 right now on this Kassadin. That is definitely not a pretty sight for Liyab. And we did mention how the Kassadin can just really ruin things for the Philippine squad, and it's starting to turn into that story.
Oh yeah, you're only, what, half a level now from this Caston having level 16. That's going to be 3 points into your ultimate. That's the, you know, in-game fantasy level 16 Caston. Here we are. It's now very concerning here for Liyab, where it kind of comes down to, okay, maybe they can secure a Elder Drake fight, but after losing that one, I'm still not confident. Even if they picked up the buff, their execution has just been questionable, as AHQ just looked like a much more coordinated team.
It is their game plan, most definitely, as another steal from Rex there for the Maokai ult, as to counter any sort of possible engage by AHQ.
Oh, I see, Uniboy. You need to get some vision toward the side of your jungle. They do spot him out, so it gives them a little bit of safety, but you can see what this Kassadin is looking to do. Just trying to find the assassination on the back line before Hamas can get his ultimate down. AHQ are just going to push back the vision line of Liyab, and unfortunately for Liyab, it's, even though you got the soul, you're kind of in this turtle mode, and the moment that you relieve pressure to AHQ, that's pretty much the point where AHQ can just take home the victory. So I'm thinking of Liyab right now. I'm looking for any possibility of trying to take a fight, as Rex might get dove here if he's not careful.
And that is the thing about AHQ. We've never seen a game where they lost, where they were ahead in this kind of scenario. So that is the scary part. And we'll see whether or not Liyab can be the first. But AHQ, again, this is their element at this point. They have full control, late game most especially. Let's see how Liyab decides to adjust, considering the fact that Uniboy has a Zhonya's, has Max on his staff right now. So it's even harder to kill him at this point.
You know, he's got the shielding, he's got the stasis as well, and you even saw there the Trillia's being popped by Ysera is enough to force Liyab to have to back off, and that's with them having, of course, this Infernal Soul. Civ is just going to lay down his ultimate. As for HQ, they still have this Baron. It will dissipate actually just now, so they get themselves a nice little Baron buff. For Liyab, at least they don't lose out any inhibitor. There's still that option for them to, you know, try and fight over this Elder Drake without having to worry about one of their lanes being pushed in. But even when we saw in the previous setup, Rex and Kaigu, they both had teleport for that fight, but they were already grouped up and ready to go. Liyab are not comfortable having a side lane push and then calling for the teleport, because the coordination just doesn't seem to be there.
Yeah, at this point, it is more of, we've seen this kind of Liyab before, where since AHQ does have the upper hand right now in terms of, you know, not only items, the composition, like most of them are already online. There's going to be a lot of hesitation on Liyab's side for sure. And it's more of waiting for AHQ to pull the trigger and see what they can do for any sort of outplay potential or pick-off potential on their side.
Well, here we go, Uniboy. Hunting for Kaigu, instead just trying to take away some of his camp. This Poppy too, unfortunately, is not necessarily unkillable, as this Maokai is going to start to see. He's only on 2.5 items, but one more finished item there, and it's going to be really difficult for Liyab to do a whole lot, and especially when you're pathing like this, Exozen, it forces your team to have to give over a kill, as unfortunately the team is just caught out toward the side. Exozen is going to get rooted. It's going to be the explosive cast coming out, but unfortunately Exozen is just going to get deleted immediately as AHQ can start sieging the base.
Look at the burst coming from Uniboy. That was effortless, and with that interesting pathing by Liyab to go back to base, HQ got the jump on them.
Yeah, unfortunately now for Liyab, you gotta have to hold on to your base. Even though Elder Drake is up, it looks like HQ are not looking to slow down. That's gonna be Chain of Corruption coming out from Rex, but unfortunately, Uniboy is unstoppable. It's the level 16 Caston with a fully stacked item. There's no escaping him at this point, and Liyab are just getting slaughtered outside the fountain. And AHQ, they look to start off Liyab's day with a quick victory. And Liyab, they got 3 more games to find at least one win here today to at least force tiebreakers.
What a wild turnaround. Liyab managed to keep it even still until AHQ, up until that dragon fight that cost them, that shot up Uniboy into a 7-kill Kassadin. And at that point, it was just so hard to get back into the game.
No, that was pretty much the point that we said was the end game here for AHQ. Kassadin level 16, 2 stacked items, has Zonias for a little bit of safety. There's not a whole lot more you have left to say there, and Uniboy shows that's what happens when you get to that point on a Kassadin. Again, for Liyab, I'll give them credit. Early game, I like that they were going for fights. I like they were trying to be proactive and trying to be aggressive. They just weren't able to snowball. They weren't able to find an advantage. They were only going even, though, in those fights, and I think that was their biggest issue, even after getting the Infernal Soul. There's just a lot of questionable decisions coming out from individual members of the team.
Yeah, and composition-wise, AHQ was quite confident that the game would progress up until that point, like, you know, the 25 to 30-minute mark, and that's where their strongest points really shine. And at that point, it was more of, it was just so difficult to capitalize on any lane, because once level 6 comes, which is also Liyab's strength, it was just a primary counter against Liyab's composition. And just, you're right, they weren't able to snowball off of Exosen's two kill start, and it was actually that Uniboy cashing in off of that shutdown against Exosen.
Yeah. No, unfortunately there. Also for me, Rex on this Sylas, I wasn't a whole lot impressed. You know, Sylas kind of has a similar kind of playstyle to the Kassadin, where you're just going to try and jump in onto one of the squishy backlines. He was more or less trying to play it almost kind of looked like his Galio, where it was just kind of a little bit in and out on fights and just trying to soak up damage where they could, and not being a threat when it kind of came to the mid lane pickup.
Yeah, and I feel like he was indeed a threat against Uniboy at the time, at the first 10 minutes of the game, by trying to push him out of the lane. But at the same time, because of Kongya's presence, you can tell that Rex is a little bit hesitant, especially, you know, his previous experience in the lane as being camped a lot, especially by Kongya. So you can tell that Uniboy wasn't exactly fully shut down. He was just repressed a little bit.
Yeah, for me, I have concerns when it comes to this Liyab comp in particular. When you have Kaigu that's going to be on, say, a Poppy, I would have rather seen, like, if the Ornn was banned out, I like to see him on something a little bit more impactful, a little bit more in your face and wide teamfight, because unfortunately some of those keeper verdicts actually didn't pay off a whole lot, and I think we're going to go back to the Infernal Soul fight where it kind of just snowballed out of control.
Yeah, and this is the time where Uniboy was very smart in his positioning and waited for everybody else. Look at the knockoff from Kongya, just entered in, and basically Liyab was very low, and it was kind of too late already to turn things around. You saw Rex trying his best, trying to eliminate Wacko, and he did succeed, but at the same time, pretty much your carry Exosen is already gone, and Uniboy even got a double kill and a triple kill even.
Yeah, you can see MVP, it's going to go on over to Uniboy on the Kassadin that time around. I hear missing things in the back of my ear right now. I don't blame him. Yeah, Uniboy, that was pretty much the win condition when it came to AHQ. He gets level 16, he gets some items, he gets fed early. It's pretty much game over for Liyab.
Yeah, I really love the confidence coming from AHQ. You know, we know Liyab is a pretty aggressive team, but at the same time, they were confident enough that, you know, they can still weather the storm, if you will. But again, this is AHQ is at second place, so at this point they're very confident coming into these matches.
Yeah, I think with that, AHQ are actually able to lock in at least a tiebreaker scenario for the top 2 positions. So they are looking at fighting for a playoff bye if they do end their score here, and Talon are able to win every victory that they have left in their schedule. And speaking about Talon, they're going to be playing up against Liyab here in our next game. And now my question becomes for Liyab in particular, because of course the sole focus of today is Liyab playing all these games back to back, is, you know, what can you do to try and keep your mentality intact after a decently close early game that just didn't transition to anything?
That is the biggest mystery, I suppose, because again, most of their victories was definitely playing more on top side of the first round robin of the PCS. And now with the addition to Kaigu, their dynamics definitely changed. They turned into more of a pure 5v5 from the first dragon towards the rest of the game. And at that point, it seems to be working to some extent, but it's not yet enough, so it seems. But we have only one basis so far where it worked. It was the match against the Berjaya Dragons. You mentioned you wanted Kaigu to have more impact in the game, which he has selected, you know, the Ornn at the time. So we'll see whether or not there's going to be more options for that.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, though, it is going to be that Talon game against Liyab. Don't go anywhere.